We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the POMcast on this beautiful Wednesday morning in Central Florida. I understand a little bit of a cold snap is going through the southeast today. Everybody stay warm. It is sunny and 75 degrees here, so I'll be fine. Real quick before we get started, I want to tell you about the Vault Society. Ole Miss Athletic Association, or Athletic Foundation, is emphasizing the Vault Society. And what is that? Well, it's a 5-year commitment of support. Membership is starting at $5,000 a year, and the benefit chart is on the site. What is the site? I'll give that to you in a second. But what you need to look at is all gifts to Ole Miss between now and June 30th will receive triple points. Red points are non-deductible and go towards priority seating. Blue points are 90% deductible and go towards parking and non-home ticketed games. That'd be postseason, bowl games, neutral site, etc. Ole Miss going to Atlanta would fill that role as well. So it's a pretty cool setup and a nice little thing to have in your pocket as a donor to show other fans that what level you are on. So it's called the Vault Society. You can find out more at givetoathletics.com. That is givetoathletics.com. Again, I am Stephen Willis. Thank you very much. You can follow the show on Twitter at the Stephen Willis and at the Rebel Walk. Catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. Again, that is facebook.com/POMcast. You can hit us up on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Hit the bell, subscribe, do all those good things. That way you'll know when we're streaming and you know what the content is going to be about. And we are also on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word. We have a couple of catch-alls at Willis Digital Media on YouTube and Willis Digital Media on Twitch that are Ole Miss and non-Ole Miss content going to one location. So that's Willis Digital Media. So thank you very much for watching today. We're going to have a supersized show today. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in spring practice. We'll have the press conference highlights. I want to talk a little bit about Tysheem Johnson, and then we're probably going to take a break, and when we come back, we got 33 minutes of Corey Burton and myself talking SEC West football, team by team, need by need, storyline by storyline. Is definitely a can't miss segment as a little preview for around the SEC. That's the reason I'm doing that. We're going to go into football season and have around the SEC. It's going to be back. And yesterday was the SEC East preview. Today is the SEC West preview. But that is the plan moving forward for that. And you also get an idea of what it looks like. So, Ole Miss had spring practice yesterday. They released another video of Dennis Jackson making a catch that honestly looked a lot like DeMarcus Lodge in that same position. I've been going on and on about how they want him to be a Mike Wallace in a Mike Wallace role. But then you see that play, and he looks a lot like DeMarcus Lodge. And then if you think back to the long pass he caught earlier that they released, he looked a lot like DeMarcus Lodge. So is he a plus speed DeMarcus Lodge? We don't know. We have to see what's going on. And we have the spring game Saturday at 4 p.m. They're calling that Party in the SIP, and they're trying to get a big crowd and basically unwind a good bit after a year-long break, thanks to COVID, and just kind of an exhale moment. The weather apparently is not supposed to be great, but whatever. These things aren't very well attended, and we need to understand that going into that. There's probably 10,000 people show up to these things annually because it's on TV now. You can see it. It's, what kind of special things are going to make me get up and go see what's going on? It's that type situation. But Ole Miss wants a big crowd. So if Ole Miss were to grab 20,000 people, that would be a double of their normal spring training crowd or spring practice crowd, spring game crowd. So understand that coming from that is what the attendance. Don't put the attendance next to a regular home game in the fall because those numbers don't historically match up anyway. But it's something to look forward to. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Dennis Jackson does. The speed on the outside, I want to see what he looks like. I want to see Matt Corral working with less than his A squad. Because I want to see him be able to move the offense and make the decision without elite players. He needs to be the guy and not just one of the guys, and this is a way to see if you are the guy. I want to see the defense, especially the back half of that defense. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see the new guys playing defensive line. I want to see Cedric Melton. You'll see him in the press conference highlights. He's starting right now at guard. I want to see what he looks like. And there's just so many questions that I want to see. Now, once again, if you are looking at an 11-man team-wide view of spring practice, you're doing it wrong. It's all about individuals and trying to get better all over the field. Like they don't even have a tight end, and as we know that the tight end is a massive part of this offense. Now, I want to see at the slot position who is filling in for there because it's not necessarily replacing Elijah Moore, but the offense runs through the tight end and the slot, and they play an imperative role in this offense. Now, whoever the alpha is on the offense, they're going to figure out a way to get him the ball. That's what Lane Kiffin does. That's what he's done everywhere he's been. But it won't look exactly like it looked last year. The tempo will be there and all of that will be the same, but the focus on the slot position won't necessarily be there. If they get themselves a tight end in the transfer portal or however they do it, it could be the tight end slot. I don't think it will be on the outside. The outside guys are the double move guys, but we will see. But the first step to seeing that is what they look like Saturday. And again, do not look at the offense versus the defense. Don't make any rash judgments on any unit or the other. You need to look at individual players and how they're performing within this scheme. So that's going to make a big difference. Let's play the press conference highlights. And let's see. And go from that, and I will tell you about the Rebel Walk. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, me and Corey about the SEC West. Stick around.
Well, we work on that actually today and tomorrow, after this practice here, just to make sure injuries and medical report that we have that. But basically, for the most part, the one offense plays on the. Well, we work on that actually today and tomorrow, after this practice here, just to make sure injuries and medical report that we have that. But basically, for the most part, the one offense plays on the same team as the two defense and versus the other side, and then the rest of the guys are divided between the two teams. They draft the players and draft the coaches and the support staff and things like that. So that's how it goes. Well, hopefully there'll be a lot of people there. First time we've been in the stadium without, the COVID restrictions. So would be good for a lot of people to be there, and not for the recruits there only, but for our own players and for our fans to enjoy something that they really a lot of them haven't been able to.
We got a better swagger to us. We performing at a high level. We got a lot of guys that can roll in and out and can perform at a high level. So we really coming together, and we really becoming to be a better defense. I don't think so. Everything's been going good so far. Everybody's been getting their time, getting their things together. We got a lot of young guys that need a lot of help, but they're coming along.
I actually like it. It's way more smoother and better for me. Like, it takes a lot off. You, because the tackle, you gotta do a lot of things. When it's not a problem, it's just guard is just easy. Pick it up fast.
I need to work on that. I have not practiced that in a lot of years. So I have done this before and not performed very well. So I think I need to practice a little bit more and warm up. I've done this without warming up, and it hasn't gone well. I feel like defensively we have, with a lot of new players and a new look with those guys. And offensively, I feel like we haven't, just because of all the injuries, especially to the skilled guys, which has hindered kind of the next progression step for Matt. But it is what it is.
Yeah, that year it was most definitely a fundamental year. Like, it was most definitely it's a wake up call. Like, I'm here, it's getting me ready. So yeah.
We got a new guy came in named Tysheem, and he's performing at a high level. Got another guy, AJ. He became to be a way better player. We just got a lot of people in that room that can perform. As small as he is, but he got a good size on him. He plays big. He plays big. He can cover. He can hit up against linemen and everything. It's just best of both worlds, really, being able to blitz and cover.
I think that is a little bit, but I think because it's not like it used to be where you're just looking at grad transfers, which is immediate need. I think you got to look at this a little bit different into best players. Sometimes even if it's not a position, because guys may have 2, 3, 4 years of eligibility left. So it's a little more complicated than it used to be.
There you go with the press conference highlights. Tysheem Johnson getting a shout out from other players. It's one of those ball don't lie situations, really. Players are going to respect game. And he obviously has. He's having a really good spring practice. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to transfer over his freshman year to the game field. The spring practice and fall practice are two completely different animals. But he's actually doing it and making an impression on the other players around him, the other players in that room. And whenever they start calling you out and they start respecting you, that becomes a big deal. That reminds me a little bit. Now, I'm not saying anything crazy, but Jesse Mitchell, way back in 2003, was talking about this young linebacker they had on the team that was showing out in workouts named Patrick Willis. I mean, it's a big deal. It's something that should not be discounted when players are talking up other players. They're the ones that know. They're the one that's in the room. They know what's going on. And with Tysheem, he's a super athlete. He has the potential. It's like I say, he has honey badger tendencies. It's all up to him to determine how good he wants to be. Because I don't know if this kid has a ceiling. And especially in a defense like this, I'm interested to see the way they use him, especially with Jacob Springer and Otis Reese. Where do you put him? Where does he fit in? Do you move one of those guys down to a linebacker position to get an extra DB, play 6 DBs on the field from time to time in long yardage, and turn Tysheem loose? I don't know. But it's going to be really interesting to watch, and it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see it develop and to see it come about. Also, Ole Miss won last night over Arkansas Pine Bluff, 11-6. The player of the game, they said in the post game, was John Rice Plumlee. We have no post game audio or anything like that. That's the reason we don't have any post game highlights or anything like that in today's show like we normally do. But they won the game. They go to 27-12 with a chance. With a chance to get to 30-10, which was kind of the goal when all this started. If you can get to 30-10, you'll be sitting pretty, and that would require a sweep over LSU, which will be insanely difficult. I'm not saying it won't be, but the bare minimum goal of our 2-1, 1-2 model is a 2-1 weekend. So if Ole Miss can get the sweep and get to 30-10, they're exactly where they were supposed to be. If not, just do the bare minimum what is expected. They're -1 from that goal, and they'll still be +2 and on pace for 17-13. So it's going to be very interesting. Real quick before we take a break, I want to tell you about the Rebel Walk. Since we're going to go straight to Corey after the break is over. The Rebel Walk and Evelyn and her team do a fantastic job. They provide a subscriber level experience for no money. Doesn't cost you anything but time. So if you want to follow Ole Miss sports like a pro and understand what's going on and not get in all this up and down and anxiety and whatever's going on, hit the rebelwalk.com up for your experience. You will not regret it. They've been a proud partner of Positively Ole Miss, and they just do great work over there. Also, they're pretty great follows on Twitter. If you can find them and hit them up, you can follow them on Twitter. Our host, we talk about them from time to time. Chris Muller, Rebel Inc. at Rebel Inc. Is on Twitter, and you can follow him, and he's a good baseball follow. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Corey Burton from Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast, the Illegal Motion podcast, the Coach's Corner podcast. He's also an assistant coach at Hillwood High School, and he's somebody that we rely on quite a bit for football knowledge, and I think I have a lot of it. There's not many people I am willing to give credibility to. He's one of them. Tune in for him after the break, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive. A message from Florida's trusted choice independent insurance agents.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis. I just want you to stick around a little longer. We're going to get back to the podcast right after these messages.
Tonight, nearly 40,000 veterans across the country are homeless. These men and women have pledged to serve our nation, and now we must serve them. Landlords across the country have helped make significant progress in reducing veteran homelessness by making housing available, but there is more that we can do to bring our veterans home. Visit www.va.gov/homeless to see how you can get involved. And if you are a veteran and you are experiencing homelessness, please call 877-4AID-VET. Thank you.
All right, welcome to Around the SEC. Well, actually, it's a special episode of the POMcast, but we're doing Around the SEC things here with Corey Burton, assistant coach at Hillwood High School and the host of the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast with Israel Troop. Today, we're going to talk about the SEC West a little bit. How you doing, Corey?
I'm great, man. This is kind of the Around the SEC, I guess, free preview.
Yeah, exactly.
You could call it that?
Yeah.
Kind of like a teaser, a trailer, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, once we start this in July, this is going to be kind of the thing. We're going to get Jeb in here and have a 3-box, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, 3-box. I love the old 3-box setup, man. Is it kind of like the 3-man weave?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're going to run down the shot clock. We're going to take a shot under 5 seconds, and we're going to see what happens.
Attaboy. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, anyway, SEC West, we're going to start out with Alabama because you can't talk about the SEC without talking about Alabama first. What's going on with the Crimson Tide? What do we have to look forward to?
Well, Bryce Young, I mean, it almost seems like he's just going to be next to the line of great Alabama quarterback play recently. I don't think they're going to miss much of a beat. It's hard to imagine with losing that much firepower with Najee Harris, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, and Mac Jones. You lose those guys. It's hard to imagine that they're not going to take a slight dip, which they probably will. But a slight dip for Alabama is going to be maybe scoring 32 points a game versus 40 points a game because they have some guys behind them that's backfilled. Like whereas Florida doesn't, Alabama does. And Bryce Young, if you watch the A-Day scrimmage, which it was the only game that I was allowed to watch thanks to the ESPN app, Bryce Young looks special.
Good player. And to be fair, though, if they drop from 40 to 32 last year, they lose the Ole Miss game and probably one or two others. So
yeah, but they get better in defense too.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. What do you see at the running back position and on the defensive line, especially where they make their hay?
I think losing Najee Harris is definitely a downgrade. But they got that Robinson cat that's going to step in, and I don't know why his name just escaped me, but I know his last name's Robinson. They got him. Yeah, Brian Robinson. He's gonna step in. I think he's gonna fill in admirably. I mean, it's hard to match the production of Najee Harris. Najee Harris was such a special guy, special back, and the things that he could do. They're going to have to try to replicate that production through a committee of guys, which you'll see, and they'll do. They'll figure out a way to do. They're also getting a new offensive coordinator as well. Obviously, Steve Sarkisian is now the head coach at the University of Texas, the real UT, as people would say. But I think it's going to be interesting to see scheme-wise where they fit and what they do with Bill O'Brien as the new offensive coordinator. We know what he did at Penn State on the collegiate level, what he did for their offense with Christian Hackenberg. Somehow he manufactured something in the Big Ten with that group. I think he's going to do a lot of the same with this Alabama crew, and you're going to see it. John Mechie is going to be a playmaker on the outside that they are extremely excited about. Luke Forstall at the tight end spot. He's somebody that jumps out at you, but you're not expecting it. He's a big, huge target in the short passing game, and I'm excited to see what this Alabama offense can do. They've got a lot to replace at the running back position, so we'll see kind of I imagine their run game is going to take a bit of a hit, but that's okay because they throw the ball a lot now. Defensive line wise, I mean that's they always crank out great defensive lines. So to say that they won't this year would be kind of irresponsible of me. They're going to be really good on the defensive line. Who emerges out of that group is yet to be seen. Who emerges as the big playmaker out of the group is yet to be seen. But I think as a group, they're going to be just fine. They're going to be great. They're going to get pressure. They're going to get big stops. They got better. They got more comfortable with the defensive scheme last year. I think you're going to see a marked improvement there, which it's hard to imagine them getting much better, but they're going to do it.
Yeah, and Alabama are heads and shoulders above the rest of the SEC West. Well, that's the reason we started with them. We'll go down the road a little bit to Auburn, where all the media types are talking about how good Bo Nix looks. Now, these are the same media types that were talking about how good Jeremy Johnson looked. But what does this mean?
It means that they're trying to build some hype around Auburn University. Bo Nix is what he is. Right, we know what Bo Nix is. He's a guy that's going to feel fake pressure. He's gonna escape pockets too early. He's going to make some great plays, and he's going to make some head scratching plays. Right, kind of like the other Bo that you Ole Miss fans know, Bo Wallace. You have good Bo and bad Bo, right? Remember all that?
Yeah, I remember good Bo and bad Bo.
It's the same thing in Auburn. Good Bo, bad Bo. Right. You're going to see some brilliant stuff where fourth quarter he makes throw some absolute dimes to receivers streaking downfield that you've never heard of. And then you're going to see some head-scratching moments like the South Carolina game where he throws a really bad interception to Shi Smith in the end zone. And you're going to see some really, really head-scratching plays. I don't know the volume of it with Mike Bobo being the offensive coordinator. I just think they have a tall order ahead of them. The good news is they got Tank Bigsby. He's probably the best back in the entire conference, in my opinion. Better than I think he goes to Georgia, and I think the only person that has a chance at beating him out would probably be Kendall Milton. But Tank Bigsby is a special running back. He runs with speed and power. He's explosive. He understands the game of football. So they're going to lean heavily on that. They're going to lean heavily on tight end play. That's why they brought Mike Bobo in. They're going to probably go up tempo, which is why they hired Brian Harsin in the first place. So to know where Auburn's going to be, they're going to be extremely talented. They're going to lose a couple games they shouldn't. They're going to win they might win a game or two that they shouldn't. And they're going to be kind of right there in that 8-4, 9-3 ballpark. They're going to be very, very ultra competitive because they've recruited well, and they've recruited well at certain spots. But they've got to figure out a way. And giving a shout out to my man Jake Crane from the J Boy Show. He mentioned that, and when he mentioned that, it like the light bulb came on. I was like, oh yeah, this is extremely surprising, extremely concerning. They haven't signed a high school offensive lineman since 2017.
What?
They've been relying on JUCO guys.
Oh my goodness!
Transfers. Yeah, they haven't had a high school offensive lineman since 2017. They've got to figure that out. If they don't figure that out, then it's all out the window. But I think they did a little bit better job this cycle of recruiting offensive linemen, so that's good. But yeah, they got some stuff to figure out. So the hype train that you're reading, it's just that. It's just hype right now, right? They've got to figure out a way to limit bad Bo and maximize good Bo. Meaning they've got to find a way for good Bo to give them such a big lead that bad Bo can't screw it up.
And the good news is, with Mike Bobo still in the SEC, the waggle will be a part of the offense. So we're going to see a lot of 4-yard passes to running backs into tight ends across the middle. So it should be great. I think we ran that play in high school running the wing T. Let's look at Arkansas, the third A. Sam Pittman had a really good year one. They kind of slowed down towards the end, but they got off to a quick start. What do you think about Barry Odom and the drop 8 defense with what they're doing? And obviously, if they're offensively, they're in a good shape if they just keep building towards it. But what do you think about that defense?
I think the defense is going to be even better. What they did was they forced how they competed against Ole Miss was they forced teams to really play sound fundamental football, and they forced teams to really get they made teams get impatient because, hey, we're going to give you the 5-yard here, we're going to give you 3 yards here, we're going to give you these plays. Are you going to be disciplined enough to take them? And a lot of people were not, and that's where the big plays happen. They are extremely physical. They play a drop 8 style of football, but they're extremely physical in doing so. They're going to hit you downfield. They're going to jam you. They're going to press you. They're going to twist, stunt, blitz with the ones they do have in the interior, and they're going to cause some problems. They're going to hit you. They're also going to give up some big plays here and there. But again, they're a team that's rapidly improving with little to no talent. When they start recruiting well, which is one thing Sam Pittman does really well, which is one thing Barry Odom did really well. Barry Odom did not leave the cupboard bare at Missouri when he got fired. They have talent, and it's pretty obvious. Those two guys can recruit. Bryles can recruit. So you get that offensive philosophy. You get those playmakers that they're going to start building on that side of the ball, and then you start bringing in some dudes on defense, some big, fast, space-eating linebackers. Like the way of the outside linebacker now is you get these almost like these power forwards or small forwards in basketball that are undersized, that they could either go play D3 basketball or they could come play outside linebacker at Arkansas. Those types. They're like 6'4", 6'5", 250. They're power forwards in high school, and they jump off the page, but they're 6'5", so that there's not really a place for them in major college basketball. So they come play football. Those guys end up being great outside linebackers, like Adam Anderson at Georgia. He's that mold, right? They're looking for that guy. They're looking for Smail Munden at Georgia. They're looking for guys like Big Cat Bryant on the defensive line. They're looking for guys like Vincent Papeau at Auburn, who's that outside linebacker that can play in space, right? He can cover a tight end, but he can also destroy a trap puller. So you got guys like that are versatile. That's one thing that's going to fuel this Arkansas defense, and that's what's going to make them really tough to play against.
Okay. What do you see from them offensively in Kendall Briles year 2? We don't normally get a Kendall Briles year 2.
I know we don't. This is exciting.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna get better timing. You're gonna get what they do, but better. They're not really gonna change much. They don't really have to, but you're gonna get everything that's gonna be timed up a little bit better. You know, when we did boot camp the offense way back during the pandemic, that seemed like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, seriously.
But when you saw Lane Kiffin year 1 to Lane Kiffin year 3, and the timing that they were able to hit on some of these RPOs or pass options or run options, whatever the case was, whether it's a double option, triple option, whatever it was, anything that required any sort of timing, they were not only able to get better timing on the basic level of it, then they were able to add dimensions and wrinkles to it. And I think that's what you're going to see out of this Arkansas offense. I think they're going to add some different wrinkles given the fact that Felipe Franks is now no longer their quarterback. But I'm excited though. I'm excited to see what they bring to the table. I think they're going to be really good. 3 names to watch out for: John David White, Dominique Johnson, and Chris Paul Jr. Those 3 guys. White is a 5'11", 170-pound wide receiver out of Pulaski Academy, so you know he knows how to play up-tempo football and outside-the-box football, right? If those of you that don't know Pulaski Academy, that's if you get time, watch the documentary, The Guy Who Never Punts, right? So watch that one. Malik Hornsby at the quarterback position, I think, is going to be really, really good. He's somebody that's really developing. I think that year underneath Felipe Franks really did wonders for Hornsby. I think you're going to see a big leap out of him. Then, of course, Trey Knox at wide receiver, if he can stay healthy. But they're just, like a lot of teams, they're searching for depth. And when they made the change from Chad Morris to Sam Pittman, that's one thing they did not have was depth. And so they're slowly building that. So you'll see the slow progress in being able to finish games that they were tough in last year. They might finish a couple of those, but in about 2 or 3 years, when they finally get their depth built up, if Sam Pittman's still around, if Kendall Briles is somehow still around, which I don't know, I'm surprised he's still around now, but if Barry Odom hasn't gotten a head coaching job yet, you're going to see a team that's built to last in this conference.
Yes, and I'm really looking forward to see that. They definitely had a deeper hole than most teams in the league. Let's go to LSU there, and I am told there's no truth to the rumor that they're going to wear stripes next year.
Yeah, it depends on what stripes you're looking at. I think LSU is going to be an interesting ball club. I think they got significantly better upgrades on the coaching staff. I think, like Kentucky, they realized that they didn't have a good mix at the coordinator spots, and they quickly moved off of Bo Pelini, which was a great move for them. I think offensively they got a new scheme as well. They kind of last year was kind of what that lick your wounds type year where you lose Joe Brady, which he wasn't even the offensive coordinator. So I think some of their quarterback issues are going to be solved. I really like Max Johnson, Brad Johnson's son, the lefty, to be the starting quarterback at LSU. I know they have quite a battle with Miles Brennan, who I think Miles Brennan signed back in 2003. I think he's been there ever since. Sure feels like it.
Yeah.
TJ Finley, just watching him play, just didn't really he didn't really jump. The one that jumped out off the page to me was Max Johnson.
Yeah.
TJ Finley was good. It wasn't great. Made too many catastrophic mistakes. Too many of those errors where you're just like, oh no, that's a backbreaker. But Max Johnson is a guy that I think, given a full year in this brand new system, which I think is going to be pretty good, he's somebody that can lead this offense. He was 4 of 10 passing for 60 yards with the first team in the first half. Probably didn't play much after that. Finley was 4 of 9 for 48 yards. Not much better. He also had an interception. Raydarius Jones Johnson was sacked 3 times, so pocket awareness is something that he needs to work on, I guess. He was impressive in the second half. He was 7 for 7, 120 and 2 touchdowns, so he kind of got comfortable in there. Kirkland, I think, is going to be their top playmaker. John Trey Kirkland, he had a 47-yard touchdown in the spring game. Go watch it on Twitter. It's quite impressive, although it probably got overshadowed by the Villanova quarterback who completed a Madden glitch type touchdown against Delaware. And I made a tweet that said EA Sports called they want their Madden glitch back. So then Brennan was the most efficient in the scrimmage. I don't think that's going to stand long term. I think long term Max Johnson's probably your better option. But Kayshon Boutte had a touchdown as well. So it's going to be an interesting mix of who they have it's all going to come down to who they have at quarterback. It's all going to come down to Brennan versus Johnson versus Finley. Who's going to come out of fall camp? It's far from settled. Although my prediction is Max Johnson. It's far from settled because Brennan has experience. Max Johnson's probably the best out of the bunch, and TJ Finley, there's some things that he can do that are better than the rest, but there's some things that he does that puts him in really bad situations.
All right, the other side of the Gulf War rivalry, Texas A&M. What you got there?
So for Texas A&M, I guess year 2 of being a playoff contender. I guess that's what you can say. How do they replace Kellen Mond? That's going to be the question. How do they replace Kellen Mond? They've got a bunch of options. They have Haynes King and Zach Calzada. They're going to be working in the maroon and white game coming up, I think, this weekend. So I think it's going to be fun. That they're going to be – those two guys are going to – I don't know who's going to emerge. I mean, you read reports of, one report one day will say, yeah, it's all about Haynes King, and then the other one will say Zach Calzada. I think they both trade off and have great days each time they go out. So, for them, they're just going to have to continue to do what they do. I mean, I think you showed last year – what they're capable of if they get some playmakers. But again, they're adding depth. The Sumlin days didn't provide a lot of depth. They provided some exciting stuff, and they provided like a good base layer of depth. But you don't have that 2 deep, 3 deep that you need to play the way Jimbo Fisher wants to play. And you need a great tight end, which Wiedermeyer was and is. And so I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to stand out. Just who's going to stand out? Who's going to be the offensive breakout guys? Who's going to be those guys that's going to go out and each day, each night, hey, I can put the game on this guy's shoulders. Excuse me, I'm like a brain fart there, but it's going to be quarterback position, who takes it over, and then everything else is going to unfold from there. Let's just simply put, LSU and Texas A&M have similar issues. They've got to find a quarterback, they've got to settle on one, and then they've got to figure out what does he do, what does this guy do well.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation with both of them. It would be beneficial to catch that team earlier in the year than later. Now we go to the Magnolia State, Mississippi State. Will Rogers at quarterback. I know that. I think Jaden Wally at wide receiver. I know that. And I don't know too much else about Mississippi State.
Well, that's because the rest of the roster got kicked off. That's kind of what Mike Leach does. Year one, he that's what he does. He completely wrecks it, right? But then he builds it back up. Year two of Mike Leach is usually significantly better than year one. The same has been true at A&M. The same was true at Washington State. So what excites me about this Bulldog team is that Will Rogers gets in his, I guess, first and a half years, not quite two. He gets in his second season with Mike Leach, be his first full season as a starter. He showed some really good things in the Georgia game and beyond. I think you saw flashes of it throughout the season. They could just never put a full game together, and of course, they were young. and they got rid of a bunch of people, and you lose the talent that they lost, whether it was people that opted out or people that got kicked off the team. It's really tough to get an idea of what you're going to look like when you have that much talent gone. But, with Mike Leach, he's one of those coaches that does a lot with a little. And so I'm interested to see. He's got his quarterback. Now you're going to start to see Jaden Wally. You're going to start to see some of these guys that you're like, wait, where are they from? Wally is from D. Iberville. He was first team all conference, second team freshman All-American, and he's somebody that's going to be a go-to guy. Javante Pateman, Malik Heath, they're coming back for their senior seasons. They're guys that really came on towards the end of the season and became favorite targets of Will Rogers. So for Mississippi State, there's a lot of exciting potential. I just don't know how far it will pop in a division like the SEC West. Whereas in like the Big 12, Texas A&M, you get a great quarterback and a couple, you get what's his name? Yeah, Graham Harrell. You get Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree. Yeah, you can run roughshod over the bottom of the Big 12. I can't say the same is true for the SEC West even. So what Mississippi State, they're going to have to get even more creative defensively. They're going to have to get pressure. They're going to have to cause turnovers. They're going to have to be a team that thinks outside the box, and they're going to have to be a team that really just is a feast or famine team. They're going to win some games by that, and they're going to lose some head scratchers by that as well.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, did Chris Peterson kind of figure out how to stop that offense? Everybody's going to that drop 8 style against the Mike Leach system. It'll be curious to see what the next step is. And is Mike Leach willing to run the ball? Because that's the thing you need to do to get somebody out of a drop 8 coverage.
Exactly. And is he, his stubbornness is something that plagued him at Washington State. He can never get over that Apple Cup hurdle because Chris Peterson figured him out. Drop 8, take away his mesh, which is his favorite play. Don't get beat deep, and you've got Mike Leach beat. And Mike Leach had Alex Borghi, refused. I don't know why. Alex Borghi was a really good Pac-12 running back. Refused to give him significant carries, and they could have won. They could have won the Pac-12 had Alex Borghi had, 30 more carries throughout the course of the season. I think they probably could have won the Big 12 or Pac-12, not Big 12. So Mike Leach, adapt or die. That's the motto, right? There's books. I feel like everyone that writes motivational books has probably said this at some point in their career or in their life. Adapt or die. If he doesn't adapt, his career at Mississippi State's going to die, right? His career as a football coach might ultimately die. He might retire. He's going to retire extremely wealthy, but he's going to retire from coaching. He'll be great on TV somewhere. He was on Sirius XM for a year when he got fired at Texas A&M before he took over at Wazoo.
Texas Tech.
What did I say?
A&M. That's okay.
Yeah, he was never at A&M. The Twitterverse is running off like, man, Mike Leach was at A&M. Coach Burton 36. You're an idiot. He was never there. That's what I'm going to get now. No, he was never at Texas A&M. So let me set that record straight. Texas Tech, before he locked Craig James' son in the boiler room. That kind of went downhill. He took a year off there. But back to my original point. Got to find a running game somewhere. He's shown flashes of it. Like okay, maybe this year's Mike Leach team's going to run the ball. He had it with DeAndre Washington at Texas Tech. And he had that with a little bit in the last year with Alex Borghi and Gardner Minshew. He had a little bit of a running game, not enough, but a little bit. He's going to have to adapt or die. He's going to have to run the ball a little bit. I'm not saying he has to go to a 50-50 split to win.
No,
but he's going to have to go at least to 35.
Yeah. You have to at least respect the threat.
Yeah.
And right now you just don't. It's 80-20 and let's go.
It's not even 80-20 at this point.
Yeah, it's and not only that, whenever they run the ball, it's basically all inside zone.
Yeah, it's like one or two things that they do.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing a lot of these air raid people, and I've been studying it a lot lately. You see a lot of these air raid people are going to wide zone, the Kyle Shanahan wide zone and duo type run schemes, a lot of outside zone centric run schemes. They pair it up with inside zone, they pair it with duo, and they put some RPOs on it. Like, that's the new age air raid. And Mike Leach just ain't there yet. He's got to be. He's got to have to be. But he ain't there yet.
Yeah. And let's look finally at Ole Miss. I made everybody wait all the way through all the teams. What do you see from Wayne Kiffin and the boys this year?
Man, it's going to be fun to watch. I really enjoyed watching Ole Miss football last year, partly because I did boot camp the offense. I wanted to see if I was going to be spot on. But the one thing I was surprised about, as my allergies are kicking in, my eyes are burning like crazy, Matt Corral. He's the one that really surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody, I thought he was inconsistent, inaccurate as a quarterback, and couldn't make all the throws necessary, and that's why I thought John Rice Plumlee was going to win out in the end. But it ended up being the opposite. Plumlee ended up becoming the Taysom Hill role. See, I dropped the Saints reference for you there, Steve. You're welcome. He became the Taysom Hill of hey, I'm going to play quarterback. I'm going to play some tight end. I'm going to play some running back. I'm going to play here, there, and everywhere, right? Hell, I might even bring the water out on timeouts. Who knows? And I might do the PA while I'm on the bench too. Mm-hmm. So, but the point is Matt Corral really found comfort in this Lane Kiffin, Jeff Lebby offense. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. However, Steve, I'm going to ask you this follow-up question.
Okay.
Jerry and Ely, Elijah Moore, what do you do? How do you replace those guys?
Well, Jerry and Ely is going to be back. He'll be your starting running back.
That's right.
Right. They signed a guy from Western Kentucky. Watch film of him. Ja'Cour Pearson walked on to Ole Miss's team. He's an Elijah Moore person. He's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I have a feeling he's going to end up in the slot this fall.
Yeah.
And Dennis Jackson, who everybody assumed would be the jet sweep guy, they moved outside, and they're going to play him a little bit more like Mike Wallace used to play at Ole Miss.
Ooh,
and because he's just blisteringly fast. He's like whoever that guy at Auburn was. So it should be interesting to see. There's so many.
Eli Stove, that's the guy.
Yeah, I think so. And he just. It's hard to stay with him. So the deep threat on the outside, hello, John Leggett. And
yeah, you have no deep threat. Georgia definitely has no deep threat right now.
Yeah. That's going to play that role, and then you have the other wide receivers. They can go over the middle. But just like boot camp, the offense we talked about, the focus of this offense will always be the slot receiver and the tight end. Mm-hmm. And everything's going to come down to them, and everything extra is just extra. It's bonus.
Exactly. Now, do you see a lot of that jet double option stuff that we looked at? Is that going to start to materialize a little bit more?
I think it will in packages whenever John Rice is playing quarterback and doing that. I think there's going to be the ability to put that in there. That I still love that triple option. It's one of my favorite plays in football right now. Yeah. But you need the solid jet sweep guy, and Elijah Moore wasn't that guy. You wanted him going downfield getting open. You needed somebody like Dennis, but Dennis had trouble in the slot, so put him on the outside. So we'll see what that Ja'Cour Pearson will do with the jet sweep, because as we all know, that play and the jet sweep is going to unlock so much in this offense.
Now, where does Jerry Ely play year two? Not what factor does he play year two?
I think he becomes the guy. You're going to see him line up some at slot and play that. He's going to line up in the backfield. It'll be a situation where him, John Rice, and Matt are on the field at the same time, and John Rice is running a route out of the backfield, a simple wheel, and the slot receiver is Jerry Ely.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. And Jerry and Ely, can he be a jet guy?
Yes, he could. He has run that. He ran that back when Rich Rod was calling the shots. So he is a natural guy that can do something like that. But you saw with Matt Corral running the ball last year, you could actually have the Jerry and Ely jet sweep to John Rice outside zone and then do a zone read, do our triple option that we love.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of teams do that now with midline, where they will and they'll take the three technique. Sometimes teams will start putting the three technique to the backside of the strength, and create like a boundary where they can shift their linebackers over to the other side and get guys playing in space versus down guys. And you'll see a lot of teams, they do that stretch. They do the outside zone, whether it's giving it on a jet or giving it to the back, flashing across. Either way, they block them. They leave the three technique alone, and then they go up and block linebackers, and the quarterback reads him. So it's like a new age midline option, which all of these Paul Johnson disciples are getting excited about now, because you're starting to see midline option be incorporated into every scheme, whether it's inside zone, outside zone, power even. You're starting to see midline become a thing. And so that's part of that triple option attack where you can give it on the jet, you can pull it and either pull it and go, or pull it and even throw it out to the backside. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, a lot of creative things you can do with that. But you're going to see Ole Miss do that, I think, and they're going to do it with even better timing and even better pace than they did a year ago. Yes. And a little bit cleaner, too. A little bit cleaner.
Yeah, and with their tempo and their knowledge of substitutions, of how they do it, and with Lane Kiffin stacking plays, this offense is going to be very dangerous. Just period.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to watch Ole Miss. I told you that last year when we were breaking down Lane Kiffin. I still stand by that. I still enjoyed watching them almost get on the right side of that Alabama game. I really, really hope that they take that next step and become a force in the West. They need it. And Lane Kiffin is the guy that can bring it to them. I just hope he does.
Yeah. Corey Burton, offensive coordinator from Hillwood High School. Also the presenter on the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast with Israel Troop on the Believe Network. Tune in, subscribe, do all the thing. This has kind of been an around the SEC preview. What we're going to do is we're going to release these as a part of the POMcast, but we're also going to release them individually. That's why we have different graphics up at the moment. But for Corey, I'm Steve. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.